taking these Babylonian holidays, right, and giving them, Christianizing them, right, and what they said was, uh, Thomas, we're gonna make Thomas Yeshua, right, and we're gonna say it's his birthday, right, and people gonna buy in it, and that way we can pull in pagans, right, or whatever. But it always understood that it was still going to be Thomas, because before Yeshua came along, Satan had set this up for this to be like this. So when, like I said, some Protestant churches broke away from Catholicism for a little while, they protested and they wouldn't do some of these things. But slowly but surely, because they were daughters of Rome, they came back into worshiping these things. That's why Christmas and all this stuff came back into America when it was at one time outlawed, because Protestantism was just another daughter, just like Islam, of Roman Catholicism, of the Roman Empire. The reborn Roman Empire was just another daughter of it, and that's why eventually they brought them back in. They brought celebrated Christmas and Easter and all that stuff. They brought it back in, right? And this weeping of the Tammuz on the 25th, right? And they had the tree set up. They had all of this stuff where when you put whatever gifts or whatever under the tree, when you bow down to pick up the tree, the presents from under the tree, you actually bowing down to the tree, and the tree had the star on top of it, and plus the tree is in the form of the obelisk, which is the phallic worship, which is the worship of the male penis, which is resurrection through reincarnation or resurrection through sex, all of this stuff, right? And this is what these women were doing. They were weeping for Thomas. They was worshiping Thomas, right? And he said, then verse 20 and 15, he said, then he said to me, hast thou seen this, O man? Turn yet again, and thou shalt see great abominations in this. And he brought me into the inner court of the Lord's house, and behold, at the door of the temple of the Lord, between the porch and the altar, were about 25 men with their back toward the temple of the Lord, and their faces toward the east, and they worshiped the sun toward the east, right? Sun worship, which is what Catholicism is. It's sun worship, right? Apollo, worshiping of Apollo. They switched out Apollo with Yeshua, Jesus, and made him a Greek, supposedly changed the Greek deity into the white Jesus that we worship today, because Satan is an angel of light, and who was Apollo, the light bearer, right? And then it said, verse 17, then said he unto me, hast thou seen this, O son of man? It is a light thing to the house of Judah that they commit the abominations which they commit here, for they have filled the land with violence, and have returned to provoke me to anger. And lo, they put the branch to their nose, right? So you can't say that it was just a stop. He said, you putting the branch of what? The tree, the Christmas tree. He said, you putting it to your nose, right? And if I had known what I know now, I probably would have asked the pastor, what does he mean, the branch? You said it just cut the bottom part of the tree and left the stalk. He said here they put the branch to their nose. Therefore I will also deal in fury. My eyes shall not spare, neither will I have pity. And though they cry in my ears with a loud voice, yet will I not hear them. And just think about, we religiously follow these holidays better than the Caucasian people that gave them. But how many years have our people been in poverty and had all this kind of different stuff? Because Yah said we were not to learn the ways of the heathen. We were not supposed to be doing this stuff, but we do it, and we defend it. We'll fight people for it. You know, I mean, I don't argue people with them. That's why I'm doing a video. That way you can cut the video off if you want to look at it or whatever. But it's out there as a record that what I've stated before in person, that hey, I'm telling you here so you can come back and listen to it over and over again and understand it, or you don't. Okay, so then let's go to we're gonna go back to Jeremiah, right? We're gonna go back to Jeremiah, the 7th chapter. Now, I could read this whole 7th chapter of Jeremiah. When you get a chance, you need to go read it. I'm not gonna read it because all of it, because um is I got some other scriptures that we need to read, but I really do. I wish I could read all of it, but I'm gonna read this part about the Queen of Heaven part. Now, okay, I'm gonna start here at let me start here at verse um but go now into the place. Okay, I'm gonna start at verse 14. He said, therefore I will do unto this house which is called by my name, wherein ye trust, and unto the place which I gave to you and to your fathers, as I have done to Shiloh, and I will cast you out of my sight, as I have cast out all your brethren, even the whole seed of Ephraim. Therefore pray not for this people, neither lift up cry nor pray for them, neither make intercession for me, for to me, for I will not hear thee. Seest thou not what they do in the cities of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem? The children gather wood, and the fathers kindle the fire, and the women knead their dough to make cakes to the Queen of Heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto other gods, that they may provoke me to anger. Now, this was the celebration of Ishtar, the worship of Ishtar, or Ashtaroth, right? Which we later became Easter, right? Which they took and substituted the Passover and said, let's make Easter, right? Which we religiously celebrate, because look at it, he talking about those tea buns or whatever that people make or whatever, those cross buns. He said they was making them to the Queen of Heaven, right? And we engage in that stuff. He said, do they provoke me to anger, saith the Lord? Do they not provoke themselves to the confusion of their own faces? Therefore, thus saith the Lord God, behold, my anger and my fury shall be poured out upon this place, upon men and upon beasts, and upon the trees of the field, and upon the fruit of the ground, and it shall burn and shall not be quenched. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, put your burnt offerings unto your sacrifices, and eat flesh. For I spake not unto your fathers, nor commanded them in that day that I brought them out of the land of Egypt concerning burnt offerings. But this thing I commanded them, saying, obey my voice, and I will be your Elohim, and ye shall be my people, and walk in all the ways that I have commanded you, that it may be well with you. But they hearken not, nor incline their ear, but walk in the counsels and in the imagination of their evil heart, and went backward and not forward. Since the day that your fathers came forth out of the land of Egypt unto this day, I have sent unto you all my servants the prophets, daily rising up early and sending them. Yet they hearken not unto me, nor incline their ear, but darkened their neck, hardened their neck, and did worse than their fathers. Therefore thou shalt speak all these words unto them, but they will not hearken unto thee. Thou shalt also call unto them, and they will not answer thee. But thou shalt say unto them, this is a nation that obeyeth not the voice of the Lord their God, nor receiveth correction. Truth is perished and is cut off from their mouth. This is our people. When you tell them these things, right, they don't want to hear. They don't want to hear these things, right? They turn their back, they harden their neck, right? They say, man, forget that, man. We gonna celebrate. We don't care if it's pagan. This is for the children or whatever. He said and notice the children are involved in this, right? It's for the children. So this has always been an issue for us. This is nothing new, right? and y'all, and you wonder why that they can get away with it and we can't, because he said you supposed to know better. It's unto you that the oracles and all the stuff was first delivered, but you first of all rejected my son. But then, now I'm gonna submit you to all this paganism, and you're gonna have to be able to resist it in the land of your captivity, right? And so then if you look at and you get a chance, you read Jeremiah the 44th chapter, and this is where the people are in. They go to Egypt against what Yah said, right? uh so they get Jeremiah, and they basically say, tell us, Jeremiah, what y'all want us to do, and we'll do it, right? And he said, we tell you, we'll do it, right? But notice this, verses, this is 44, and I'm gonna start at verse 13. He said, for I will punish them that dwell in the land of Egypt, as I have punished Jerusalem by the sword and by famine and by the pestilence, so that none of the remnant of Judah which are gone into the land of Egypt to sojourn there shall escape or remain, but that they shall return into the land of Judah, to the which they have a desire to return to dwell there, for none shall return but such as shall escape. Then all the men which knew that their wives had burnt incense unto other Elohims, and all the women that stood by, a great multitude, even all the people that dwelt in the land of Egypt, and Paphros answered Jeremiah, saying, as for the word that thou hast spoken unto us in the name of the Lord, we will not hearken unto thee. Now they had said that they would, if you read the earlier verses in this chapter, but he said, no, we ain't gonna stop doing evil. We ain't gonna stop doing what our fathers did in Jerusalem. Even though we're down here, we're gonna still do what they did. He said, this is what they said, but we will certainly do whatsoever thing goeth forth out of our own mouth, to burn incense unto the Queen of heaven, and to pour out drink offers unto her, as we have done, we and our fathers and our kings and our princes, in the cities of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem. For then we had plenty of victuals, and were well, and saw no evil. So it was about their good. It was about their, and this is what I'm saying about this stuff. You tell them that, they say, I don't care what you say. We going to celebrate this stuff. We going to do it. And I was there one time too. I'm not, sitting up here and trying to sound high and mighty. I was a staunch defender of all of this stuff until I studied myself, and I said, man, this ain't got nothing to do with the Jehovah's Witness saying Christmas is pagan. This is just pagan on its own, right? And so he said, but verse 18 said, but since we left off to burn incense to the Queen of heaven and to pour out drink offerings unto her, we have wanted all things and have been consumed by the sword and by famine. And when we burnt incense to the Queen of heaven, poured out drinks offerings unto her, did we make our cakes to worship her, or to pour out drink offerings unto her without our men? So this thing was being led by the women, right? And so who is main ones, right? When you talk about this, mama, grandmama, big mama say, you better stop talking crazy about Christmas. You better get that Christmas tree up. You better get that lights out. You better do all this stuff. He said the women led the charge. And isn't that the case in our communities? The women lead, hey, let's get the children to Burlington Coat Factory and get the new suits and all this stuff. And when, and the brothers just go along with it. Yah said we are not to do this stuff, right? And he said, look what they were saying. They said, when we don't do this stuff, we suffer, right? This is totally wicked. This is totally wickedness that we're doing. I'm going to tell you another chapter that you need to read. You get a chance, because we're getting ready to end this lesson talking about fleeing idolatry, about this wicked Christmas. You need to read Isaiah the Isaiah, the 44th chapter, starting at verse 9. And if you read it, read all the way to from 9 to 20, it'll tell you how how our people were doing, why people were doing all these wicked things. It was like a pattern that had been established, right? um it was talking about how they made the little gods and everything. It basically takes you through the whole routine that they went through to make the idols in Jerusalem. And when you read it, you'll be like, man, it'll be like, Isaiah, through y'all impressing upon saying these people, how they get the wood, they burn it, they fashion it or whatever. It's crazy, but we look at that and we laugh, but we are doing the same thing. We do that. Which we are the same people. We do it through the worshiping of entertainers, sports stars, these different pagan holidays, all of this stuff. And so we got and it's in any religion that we're a part of. If it's Islam, we'll do it with Islam. If it's Hinduism, we'll do it with Hinduism or whatever. We really get into it, and Yah say he hated, right? We gotta come back to Yah. We gotta start with this simple stuff first. That which we know to do good, we gotta do it. We gotta study to show ourselves approved unto Yah. We cannot use the fact that I didn't know. Well, you studied this stuff as much as you studied everything else with that phone and the laptop and the desktop computers. We got all that what we need. The Bible said we got to study to show ourselves approved. A workman and neither not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth, right? The truth will set you free. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, because as these scriptures I read to you show, even back then they had to contend with the children being involved in the worship of these gods, and you can understand how hard it would be or whatever. And even like I said, the people that was going into the temple, but they were still had the addiction to worshiping these other gods. We can see this with us with Freemasonry and the sororities and fraternities with these Greek gods, where we say, yeah, we ain't really worshiping the Greek gods or whatever. We just want to come together. Why come you just can't come together without putting the Greek god name and the colors and the branding and all? Why you can't do it that way? Because it's a god that are a demon that's attached to it, the same way with Freemasonry. Why is it that all the secrets and everything cannot be given to you until you go through these pagan rites and stuff and talking about goats and Baphomet and all this stuff? Why come you can't just get it? Because y'all's provision against things of darkness. So that's our lesson today, talking about fleeing idolatry. And again, like I said, I was one time starch defender of these holidays and everything. So I'm not sitting here telling you it's gonna be easy, but you gotta start some way, because we don't want to get stuck in this. Now that Yah's given us this great awakening that we have, we gotta come all the way out. And as much light as he give us and we use it, he'll give us much more light. So if you like this video, I want you to give it a thumbs up. I want you to leave a comment, and I want you to subscribe. Be blessed.